Hi, Alex here from Rebeloper.com, and in this advent calendar tutorial I will be showing you how you can set up the logic to set the background music volume. So without further ado, let's get started. So in the previous episode we have started setting up the UI and we have already finished it. So what we need to do now is quickly commit our changes. So that will be day 18, push to remote, commit 9 files, pushing, and now we need to, of course, create a new branch from the current branch. So I will just go quickly here and I will just name this day 19. Okay, let's create it, and now we are inside our day 19 branch, and what we want to do is add the logic to these buttons. Of course, the handle plus volume button and handle minus volume button. But before we try to type out any code, I want to remind you that there is inside your ACT resources that you have downloaded from our site, there is a music volume helper.swift file that will help out in building your logic for this tutorial, this video on how to set the volume for our music level. So I'll just simply start opening it. And now, as you can see, here are the steps needed. There are a lot of code here, but I will just go through each and every one of them and I will explain what each of them means. Okay, first up here is let's go into GameViewController.swift, and outside the class, let me just make this outside the class. Let's create set music volume notification name. Okay, and I've just copied this out, and let's go to our game view controller and scroll up, and as you can see here we already have a bunch of notification names set up. That is because we want to communicate from our SK scenes to our game view controller through notifications, and this is how we add our notification name so it can get access globally. Okay, next up is to add notification observers this notification with the name, of course, that we have already created. Now we are adding this notification to our game view controller because we want to observe here our notification when it is launched. And as you can see, we have already an error, set music volume is missing, and I believe, yes, that is the next one we are going to implement here. And of course we are going to use Objective-C here, so we may get this selector. Okay, let's just scroll down way back down to the bottom and paste this here. Now what does this do? Well, it grabs the info from our notification and unwraps it, and after that we get to choose our key that will be volume. We will set this key and its value later on. We get our user info's volume and we have that inside our let here volume, and we pass it on to our set background music volume, and that is right here. Let me just copy and paste it out, and it simply grabs the background music and sets its volume as our added float number. Good stuff. Now let's see what is next. So inside our ACT Manager we need to create some new functions, and the first one is the save music volume and the next one is the get music volume, because we want to save the volume in our user defaults. First of all, let's create our key in our ACT Manager. Okay, let's go. I believe it's ACT player stats, so I would just paste this here and maybe just so you get the right Swift file. And now let us just copy these two functions. It's the same as all of the others. It first of all one saves the music volume to our key, and the second one gets the music volume's value. Okay, now it's time to go to our SKC, and this is what we need to copy: the set music background by. And I will just copy this out and go into our settings, where I will just add this here. And as you can see, we have our grabbing of our current volume, and we get this from our ACT player stats. And here, if the volume is greater than 1, then we set it to 1, so we don't have any values that we can set greater than 1 to our background music, so that will stay as the loudest one. And if it is lower than 0, then we set it to 0, because we are adding our volume to the grabbed current volume. Okay, and of course if it is a minus, then we are subtracting our volume from our current volume. We will see that in action in just a few seconds. Now, what we want to do next is add the text to our volume label, and I will just multiply our volume by 100, because this will be a float number between 0 and 1, and we want to make it as a percent. So I am adding this percent sign as a string, and of course I am converting this float into an integer like so. And finally we are saving our music volume, and we are informing our game view controller through a notification that we want to set the music volume, and we are adding our key here volume, the one that I was talking about earlier. And I will just grab ACT Manager player stats shared get music volume. Okay, so I am saving here and getting the current music volume, and posting our set music volume notification name, and with a user info that we have created here. Okay, now it's time to do the last step, and that is to lower or make it louder, the music background, of course. And here we have our handle minus volume button, and I will just make it smaller by 0.1, so 10% will be the scale. So let me just grab a build here so we can get the completion from Xcode, and I will use set music background, and the float will be minus 0.1, so we are decreasing the volume of our background. And here set music background by and 0.1, so we are adding to the volume. Okay, and I believe that is all to it, and let's select our simulator and let's see if we have our music working. Okay, maybe you hear it, maybe you don't. I will just go to our settings here and let's see. And now let's lower it. Okay, it seems to work fine. One thing though that happened is that it says that it is on 100%, and of course it was playing, but once I hit the plus button it all started from 0. So what we need to do is go to our let's see here, ACT Manager, and when we first launch our app we need to set this to be 100 or maybe 70%. Okay, so let's go here and type in ACT Manager, ACT player stats dot shared dot, and here save music volume to, let's say, 0.7. Okay, now we have set our music volume to be defaulted as 0.7. Now when we run our game, for the first time, this will be saved. And now we need to set the volume when we are first running, and that is here, and play stop background music. And now we want to fire our notification, and let me just copy this out from here, and I will just take these two lines and finally go back to our game view controller and set the volume to be 70%. Okay, one last thing about the volume and the display of our label, and that is inside our settings. We are setting this text to be 100%, but it isn't. Sometimes it is, sometimes it is not. So I will just simply go here and type in ACT player stats.shared dot and get a music volume. And of course we want to multiply this by 100, I believe, and convert it into an integer. Okay, now let's go ahead and stop this and delete from our simulator. So the first launch should be activated, and now let's see how all of this works out. Okay, as you can see, the background music is playing. Now let's see how we can make it louder. It is getting louder. And now it is getting... Oh, we cannot hear the background music at all. Let's turn it back to 70%. Okay, and that is how you can add a volume changer to your background music. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to see more videos of me, and I will see you in the next one.